This segment of Frost Bites with Kelly Frost is sponsored by I'm on Capital Management, a more disciplined approach to your financial future.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Frost Bites. I am Kelly Frost, your host. Thank you for watching all of these weeks. We really appreciate it, and we hope that you are enjoying all of our episodes. We want to give a quick shout out to Amy Taylor. She is the owner of Mink Studios, and that is where we are every single week. So thank you, Amy Taylor. We really appreciate you. Today we have on Sheila Hyland. She is our guest. And we also have on our co-host, who is Amy Green, and she is one of the partners with I'm in Capital Management and our sponsor for today. So thank you very much to Amy Green. Sheila Hyland is our guest, and we had so much fun with her. She was a co-host prior to today, and we got her on the opposite side of the table and had a lot of fun with her. She has a great sense of humor, and lots of laughs are coming your way, so stick around. All right, guys, we're diving right in today with Sheila Hyland. Hi, Sheila.
Hello, Kelly.
You know, you're on the opposite side of the table today.
Which is not where I'm that comfortable being. I prefer being on that side of the table.
Out of the
but for
comfort
you,
zone.
I'll do anything.
I'm in my seat. Amy is now in yours, and thank you for saying that. That was very sweet.
And yes, of course. And hello, Amy.
Hi, nice to see you.
So you guys just met today, and it was, the question was, so tell me about you. This one's trouble.
I don't
only
know.
sometimes.
Maybe. We had an interesting conversation, though.
It's episodic.
We
my
share
trouble.
some similarities, how we left our former jobs and started our own businesses.
branching out.
Yeah.
That seems to be like the common thread of today.
Yes.
Leaving your job,
Leaving your
starting your
long-standing
own
job.
It's a scary proposition.
but it's so worth it.
In the long
Yeah.
run. But first you got to get over the terror. Like,
And there is terror.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And it takes a while to build up the money as well.
I was very used to someone else writing me a check every 2 to 4 weeks.
and getting paid for vacations.
And me knowing what the check was going
Right,
to be.
exactly.
Right? Like there's security in knowing the check's coming.
All right, Sheila, write her a check.
Okay, all right, Amy, you've got it. But no, you're right. There is security in that, knowing exactly what you're going to get as far as a paycheck. You get benefits. You get to go on a vacation, and they still pay you. And when you're on your own, you get none of that.
Vacation
I don't
takes
have
on a new term.
Yeah, doesn't it? Well, I usually do some work while I'm on vacation. I never really
Right.
truly get away. You can't when you're a business owner.
Right.
Yeah, you know what, though, and we keep talking about this, but I like the fact that I don't have to run away from my job because I love what I do. I love my job. I love the people that I'm working with, and if I don't, then I don't work with them. But you get so much more say in what you're doing. Like we were, said we just, I went to Florida, and the girls were like, "Oh, why are you bringing your laptop? Why are you doing this?" But I want to get some things done in the morning, and I feel better about myself when I'm getting things done, and then I can go run to the pool and do whatever. And it's not
you
stressful.
can still relax. It's just that you can't really step away from it for too long. But the trade-off is terrific. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Well, because I can come spend the day with you. I mean, back in my past life, it would have taken an act of Congress and 3 months of planning, to be able to be here. But
That's true. We have the flexibility that you don't have when you work for an employer.
Yes, very true.
You really do. I think that's probably what I love the most about being on my own. I can block out a whole day if I want to. I typically don't, but if I want to meet someone for lunch, just put it on the calendar, and then I don't book clients. It is what it is.
Well, and I pretend it's a work lunch. I just tell myself, I'm like, they could potentially become a client.
And Amy, do you write it off then too?
No, because the downside
No,
of that
if the
is they don't-
IRS is watching, she does not.
Well, but the downside is like that tax loop is gone. As the person who does her own taxes, like I had all my receipts and I was like, and it was for naught. Like but thanks federal government.
Those change so
Non-reimbursed
often,
business expenses don't really count anymore.
Which is difficult for those of us who are in business for ourselves.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not go talk about the IRS. I don't know.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Oh,
Brings
no,
up.
I just love the IRS.
Yeah, I love my
Wonderful,
taxes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, actually, this year because of everything else that we added in and everything else. So my husband and I, for the first time, were like, okay, we need to like not be doing ourselves anymore. So
Oh, you were doing your own taxes. Okay. I gave that up a long time ago.
it's weird, but I enjoyed doing ours.
Me and TurboTax were tight. Like,
Oh. Maybe I need to learn. So I pay someone to do it. But
No,
yeah, just
keep doing that.
let somebody else figure that out.
Yeah.
But you still do most of the work yourself anyway, because you're keeping track of the receipts, you're adding everything up, you're categorizing it. They're
But like
just plugging
Amy
in the
just said,
numbers.
there's so many new tax laws. Every year they're different.
I'm too much of a control freak to want to send it to someone else.
I'm not at all.
But you're also in wealth management. I mean, you have that
Different.
financial mind, that expertise.
So it was fun. Like this tax time was the first time my son needed to file taxes. And I was like, welcome to TurboTax. And he was like, to what are you referring? And I'm like, TikTok, got to get them filed. But I was like, the upside was that whenever I do it now, I have 10, 12 years stored up in the system. So I'm like, giving it to somebody else to do now would be a lot of work. So, yeah,
True
I
story.
control.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm slowly starting to give up some control.
Oh, no.
And that was one of the things that I gave.
Again, terrifying.
Well, that's one of the things that I gave this year. But it's actually been, a relief to give that one up.
Are you trying to tell us you're a bit of a control freak, Kelly?
The problem,
Was that believable? I try really hard.
I think the misnomer was the word bit.
Oh,
Yes.
I was
just a
trying to
bit.
be delicate there too. I didn't want to label you.
Yeah. Sure. Yes. Delicate like a chainsaw. Yes, I am very much no. Yeah, it's confusing.
But look how much you've accomplished from being that way.
I try not to control the creatives in my life because I know that I'm not creative. So when there are creatives in my life, I give them whatever they need to be the creatives that they are. So that is the one thing that I know that I do not control. So
Yeah.
that was a good one, right?
Yeah,
good.
that was
Okay.
really good.
That's what I hire out.
Yes, very much so. Yeah. Yeah. So
I would not have guessed that you weren't creative. You seem really creative.
yeah.
Maybe you just don't give yourself credit.
Yeah, you should have seen me trying to draw things during COVID. We started this whole thing, and it was games every Thursday. It was like a Thirsty Thursday kind of thing. So everybody made a fun drink and told everybody what they're making, and then we played, win, lose, or draw, and everything else. And no one ever wanted to be on my team because it was like stick figure. Wait, that's supposed to be an arm. I mean, it was really bad.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm like
cannot
that at
draw.
Pictionary too. I had someone actually teach me how to draw a simple fish because I didn't even know how to draw a fish. I mean, we're talking the simplest fish with the little triangle tail and then the little loop-de-loop. Yeah, I had no idea.
That's like me with in Canva. People swear that it's so easy to make all your own post and everything now because Canva, it's plug and play. No, I can
it's not.
spend hours in there and still not end up with anything that basically whatever I create looks like a bad high school science fair project. And I'm like, yeah, no, this has got to go to somebody else.
No, I like playing with Canva. That one I can do. But
Just not good at it.
But I do feel that it's, it generates just a lot for you.
Well, I have I work with people that they can go in and 45 seconds later, they've produced something that looks like I would want to use it. Whereas I've spent 6 hours and it still looks like a bad PowerPoint, where you've got the bad insert clip art kind of thing. Yeah, it's not my skill set.
All right, give me 2 things that you're really good at and 2 things that you would you do it.
Okay. I'm really good at listening to people and finding out what they're all about. which is probably why I do executive coaching, which was why I was surprised, too, that you're not creative because you seem creative. I'm good at leading people and helping them find their passion. What am I not good at? Well, let's go back to the Canva the Canva situation. I'm creative in some ways and not in others too. I'm not good at marketing. We discussed this before we got on camera, and sometimes it's interesting because I'm a good listener, and other times I'm not. My focus tends to just go off into the stars sometimes, so that's where I fail a little bit at times. So it's interesting because sometimes your strengths can also be your weaknesses.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, and that's just the very simple version.
So I call people in my life that kind of are just thinking a lot, but I call them squirrels. Because it's like, which way am I going? Which way am I
Chasing
going?
the shiny objects.
Well, not necessarily chasing them, but like, I want to go here, but I want to go there. Let's do this. There's just so much happening that they can't make up their mind for certain things.
Well, this world doesn't make it easy either, though.
Absolutely not.
Smartphones and tablets. Our attention spans are what? Like 10,
Nanoseconds.
15 seconds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Squirrel.
That's hard to compete with in this world.
Well, especially when nowadays everything's expected. There's an immediacy to everything. I want my food delivered to me immediately. I want my news served up to me. Like, remember when we used to wait for the newspaper or wait for the evening news to see what was happening in the world? And now, if it's not breaking news and it's not in front of me, I'm changing venues.
Yeah. I just had a conversation with someone the other day talking about, remember what it was like to get a letter in the mail?
Yes.
Especially from a loved one. I had a long-distance boyfriend when I was in high school. He lived in Nebraska. I lived in Oregon. Our grandmothers fixed us up. Anyway, so, I would run to the mailbox each day to see if there was a letter there. Just waiting on that, which just gave me such a sense of satisfaction. And with everything that comes so easily and so quickly now, you lose a bit of that sense of excitement, because the excitement, in a sense, is there all the time. You take it for granted. But there's nothing like getting a letter in the mail. And he would write me these wonderful love letters,
And the
pages of
But
them.
the time that he took to do, that's when we invested in communication. Because now having a teenager, the communication is so constant that there's never self-awareness or time for yourself, because to do that, you're ignoring someone. And I just kind of feel bad for them, because there's never an ability to put it down or walk away from it. Because his whole generation is constantly communicating with each other. And gone is the day when you would take the time to write a 4-page letter. You're just expressing it in 120 characters at a time.
So true. And now, too, you get a text, you feel obligated to answer it as soon as possible. And why? How did we get this way? Where do we go?
Do you remember when you used to be able to go to the grocery store and no one could find you?
Yes. You could go almost anywhere and no one could find you because you didn't have a cell phone.
You didn't have a phone. And when you would call and no one answered, that meant they were not home.
And we didn't worry about it.
Correct.
Yeah. And that panicky feeling we get now when we forget our phone. Am I right? You'll turn the car back around to go back to your house to get your phone that you forgot.
Well, and my car is yelling at me from the moment I turn it on, because then it's like phone not found or cannot connect. And then I'm like, okay, so even it knows that I left the house without it. So, yeah.
All right, I'm going to brag on myself for a minute.
Okay, please do.
So my husband's been gone for like 4 or 5 days golfing. It's been great. I missed him. And
say it again.
I missed him. But he had fun with his buddies. They were golfing. He does this every year. But we talk every night before he's speaking in cursive by the time he calls me at night.
Right, yeah.
So, but when he came back, I had a little thing of M&Ms for him, because that's his favorite candy. And I got him a card, but it was blank on the inside. So on the outside, I wrote a little thing, but I actually hand wrote him on the inside. It was pretty lengthy, but it was not just a store-bought card with Hallmark, and I signed my name. But I wrote him a letter on the inside, So then when he came back today, he had his favorite candy and he had like a nice little card and it was handwritten.
And what was his reaction to it?
Well, he scared the shit out of me when he came into the bathroom and he was like, I'm home. I was like, you can't do that. He's like, oh,
So did you take up the card and rip it up because he scared you?
he's like, I didn't want to scare you. Good job. Yeah. I was like, oh, thank you. But then he came back and he's like, oh, thanks for my card. He was very appreciative. And yeah, but it was very nice.
So my husband and I celebrate our date, our first date, probably more than we do our wedding anniversary. And the nice thing is it happens monthly. So like, the 29th of every month, like one of the two of us will remember and plan dinner or whatever. But I learned years ago, I go to Target and I go to the card section and I buy a bunch of anniversary cards and I keep them in a drawer. And every month or so I pull, because if they're there, then I will write him a card, kind of like, it's like Christmas cards. If I have to go through a lot to order them, they're probably not going to go out. But yeah, and I was going through putting socks away or something for him, and I saw that he has a stack of them. So I guess some are more meaningful than others, but I was like, oh, that's kind of cute.
It's cute.
Yeah, but it does go to the fact that you have to have an inventory because it's not going to happen otherwise.
I just had a third anniversary with my boyfriend, and we also celebrate that first meeting. Yeah. And I actually wrote him a poem. I mean, how many people do that anymore? I don't know that it was a good poem. It didn't matter, though. It was just the idea that I did it.
I could try and a haiku sometime.
I remember those haikus.
Little limerick, if you will.
Yeah, this one was definitely not a rhyming one for sure. But I thought that would be so much more meaningful than just about anything else I could have gotten him. It's a gift.
Was it from the heart?
It was from the heart, yes.
Was there humor in it?
There's always humor in whatever I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he is the cutest thing. You guys are so great together.
He is cute.
Yeah.
And he treats me so well. I'm very, very fortunate. I really am.
Well, you deserve that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We all deserve
do.
that.
Yes, we do. We all deserve it. And if you're not getting it, look elsewhere.
Yes.
You mean love, right?
I do mean love.
Yes. Okay.
Well, love isn't really enough. There's got to be more to it than that. There has to be respect and consideration. All that stuff has to go into it.
Very true.
Yeah.
So what do you guys do on a typical date night?
Well, it's interesting because we live 3 doors down from each other.
Oh, that is.
It is. So I will see him. He might come over for dinner, or I'll go over there for dinner, and then we go back to our respective places. Or he'll pop in after a gym. I have to admit, it's actually pretty good. But then on the weekends, we're both tired from the work week, so we might just sit down and watch something on Netflix or something that we DVR'd, or we'll go try out a restaurant. We might go for a walk or to a flea market or anything like that.
Living the life.
I am.
Well, and then
but
you get to go back to your
It took
house.
me, I won't say how many years to get there, but it took me a few decades.
Yeah. But I mean, really,
It's never too late,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen. It is never too late. If people think, oh boy, by the time you reach a certain age, you're 50 or 60, it's, there's just not much left of life. I'm here to tell you, it begins at those ages. It really does. And if it hasn't begun for you, then you need to fix it.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Well, now you spend a lot of time away from your husband, right?
I do. So I made the mistake of marrying an LA native and then moving him to Pittsburgh.
Ooh.
So
Culture shock.
He had never experienced winter either, unless there were skis attached to his feet. So he did 5 years. And after that, he was like, we need to talk.
She says did it. As if
We
it's
need to
like
talk.
Jail. She did 5 years.
And he sat down. He was like, I can't keep doing this winter thing here. And so by beginning of December, every year he packs up and goes back to Southern California and lives with his family and comes back late March, early April. Basically, when the golf courses close in Pittsburgh, he exits and he re-enters stage right as the courses are reopening.
Now, this is interesting, so I'm curious. See how I like to ask the questions. Sorry, Kelly, I'm
No,
sort of
you're
taking
fine.
over here. But so do you see him in those 3 months? And does it make your relationship stronger because you have that time apart?
Well, I think given the amount of travel I did as an executive and like when we first started meeting, we always lived fairly separate lives because I just wasn't there a lot. And so it doesn't feel all that different, but I have not gone out to see him because for the years that he's been doing it, 2 of them were COVID, and I had a kid that was still in school. And so it's kind of hard to pick up and get to California and back. Oh, it's not worth a weekend kind of thing. It's too much travel. And what are you going to do with the child? So now that Dash is older, it's more of an option. But we're also getting to that stage of our lives where we're like, do we want to keep doing this or do we buy something south? I'm not going back to California, but I'm happy to split the time and actually both reside in one place.
That sounds like a hell of a girls' weekend.
Uh-huh.
Well, a 3-month girls get together.
Extended stay.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to just hunting it out, right? Like, there can be worse things than gallivanting around warm places in the winter trying to figure out where you want to go. So we'll see.
I don't know. Sounds
But
pretty
I will
ideal
see
to
with
me.
you.
I will
yes.
tell you the 3 to 4 months that he's gone, there's, no laundry to do. No one cares what's for dinner. Having no one ask you, what are we doing for dinner tonight? Or what's for dinner? Like, not hearing it, I don't miss it. So when he comes back, there's a whole reentry process.
I bet. Yeah. There's got to be so much adjustment.
The golden retriever doesn't like it either because he really likes taking up the other side of that bed. So
He's like, who's this
Oh
guy?
no! And then Dad comes home, and the golden retriever ends up on the floor.
Dad comes home and all of a sudden he's like, what the hell just happened? So
He's like, excuse me, you're on my side of the bed.
we all have a reentry. So
I mean, yeah. I don't know. I think there's something to be said about a little bit of time apart to miss your significant other.
yeah.
I agree. Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
I mean, I
I
totally agree with
always joke because the opposite side of that coin is out of sight, out of mind. Do you know what I mean? And so there, you have to be kind of intentional about it. So we are when he's gone, we're intentional about talking, and we're things like that because it's so easy to let days pass and just not because you just keep going. So you kind of have to remember that you do have to stay in communication.
I am married still.
It's important. Even living 3 doors down from Andy, we usually talk every night on the phone, and the day that we live together, which will happen, I think. I told him, I said, well, we're looking, but I the day that happened, so I said, I'm going to miss those phone calls and those texts throughout the day. And he said, oh no, I can still do that.
That was
I'm
nice.
like, I'm good with that. I'll go into another room and you just call me or text me. Because there's something special about seeing him pop up on my phone and his picture comes up on the phone too. And it just brings a smile to my face. And I don't want to lose that living with someone.
Well, that's why both of us had been married before. And that's why we started and are very ardent about celebrating the first date. Because both of us ended up in marriages where it was just an afterthought. So being intentional about each other was one of those things we said going in that we were going to do. And so it's nice because he's not the most romantic of people, but I know in his phone that something pops up and he's like, oh, hell, I better make a dinner plan, or something. And so just the fact that we both kind of said we'll honor and make that important, it's good. It's nice.
How long have you been married?
14 years. Well, together 14 years. Married 13 years.
That's a long time. How long have you guys been together?
3 years.
And you?
15 years we've been married and 20 we've been together.
That's a long time.
Yes. I was married for 27 years.
That's a long time.
It is a long time. It's a long time.
Yep.
And you learn a lot.
Yeah, and he's my second.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's not even go down that path there. Kelly, okay? Because I'm a lot older than you.
So I had what I call my starter husband. And that's, kind of broke me in, figure out what it's all about. And then when I met Anthony, I remember because we kind of jumped in fast with both feet, and there was almost like an intervention. Like my boss was like, "What are you doing?" what are you doing? And I was like, you just know, like, we've already both been down this road before. We know. And I just remember looking back on it now, I'm like, whoa, I'd have an intervention for that person too. Like, because it was, but whatever. It was.
Yeah, but you learn a lot too in your past relationships.
Oh, yeah.
It isn't as if you just have to have this window of time, like, I have to take 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. I mean, it's different for everyone. If you know, you know.
But you also, and I think you learn about yourself during the process, like what you need from another person. Because coming out of a relationship, you're one of the first things that you kind of take inventory of is, where did it break down, and where are my needs not getting met? So therefore, the next one, if it's right and it kind of ticks those boxes, to me, that's more important than however much time it takes. Because I kind of knew what I needed. Like, I needed somebody that gave me space.
Yeah. And I think everybody should have that box figured out. And it shouldn't be superficial things. It shouldn't be somebody has to be a certain height, a certain whatever. It should be, what is it that is really important to you? And I did this. It's like, I want someone who's kind, considerate, loving, has some sense of spirituality. I probably came up with a list of, 50 things.
Wow.
And
that's a lot.
and Andy met every single one except one. But that's okay. I've worked through that. Yeah, every
so he's
single
just
one.
not tall.
Yeah, okay, you figured it out. No. But I didn't have anything superficial on that list. I mean, it didn't, in that sense, it was colorblind. Whatever that person, there has to be attraction, of course, but it didn't matter whether that person was tall or short or what kind of a job they had. That just didn't enter into it, as long as they had a job.
Right.
That was pretty important. And had, some means of income.
You got to be able to take me to the bar.
Exactly. Yes. That is a box that's checked. It needs to be checked.
Huh. Yeah, that's a good list. 50. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if I could sit down and do 50 even now.
That's a lot.
And then actually
at our
checking
age, too.
49.
It was eye-opening,
Yes.
to do that and to think, because often we don't think about what it is we really want or what we really need. And that can be true for whether it's relationships or in our business, our careers. If you really stop and take an assessment, you'll be surprised by what you come up with. Yeah. Like for my clients, I have them fill out a very lengthy questionnaire. Like, I want to get to know you beyond the surface. I want to make you think about what it is that you need.
Versus, I don't know what the current ones are, but like I remember like with the dating apps, like eHarmony made you actually disclose, talk about your personality versus just posting the picture. It's the eHarmony of get to know you.
God, I can't even imagine dating apps. Have you ever had to do that?
Well, that's how I met Andy.
Is it
okay?
really?
And so I was one of those that was very skeptical because obviously I had been married a long time and never used a dating app. And my girlfriend just kept pushing me to do it. She's like, "Oh, come on, just do it." And I just kind of out of curiosity, I got on there, and it was an interesting experience. But the way I analyze it is this: so, say you walked into a bar, and there were 200 men in the bar. You could probably look around and only really find 3 that you'd be interested in talking to. Am I right? So same with a dating app. You're going to get hundreds of men there, and for men, hundreds of women. And you go through them and you're like, yeah, no, oh, no, absolutely no, no. And then there's, a few, just a handful. It's kind of the same idea. So for people who are against it, that's what I explained. It's like, just filter out the stuff you're not interested in and look for those that you are. And it worked. I wasn't really even looking for a relationship. I just was curious, and I thought, in fact, I told my girlfriend, I said, if somebody asked me out, I'd probably go. And at that time she said, well, it's COVID. No one's asking you out. It's like, okay.
Sure. How did you meet your husband?
Same.
Really?
We were matched on 2 different dating sites. And so we went out, we met for drinks, and we were together from there on. We were buying a house and moving in together within 6 months and married 6 months after that.
Wow. That is fast.
Yeah. I mean, that's why there was the intervention.
I bet this is not where you thought this conversation was going.
Not at all. Yeah,
That's
but
what
you
I love
never
about this
know.
podcast, though,
Yeah,
because you just don't know.
I think nowadays, I think it would be challenging to meet and date in the absence of apps. Because, I mean, just in talking to a lot of friends, because gone are just those, we don't go out and just hang out. That everything is so instantaneous and is so intentional that I think it would be very challenging, other than like the random setup by a friend, to actually integrate, like see enough people to even kind of weed through the piles. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's a natural filter. And I think if you use them the right way, like you said, like, you know, you're not going for, I like this color hairstyle, this color hair, this color eyes. You actually have to go into it like knowing what traits you're looking for, but it's a great filter.
Yeah, you can already learn a lot about a person before you even have a conversation, which is nice. And when you are meeting someone in a bar, for instance, you're not getting that. You really don't know that person whatsoever. So in a sense, it can be safer perhaps, although we do know that sometimes it's not, just as meeting anybody would be. You just don't know. But so I'm a proponent of it now. I was a skeptic, but now I'm all for it. It's worked out for me. It's worked out for Amy.
I've seen a lot of people it does work out for, but then I also see on Facebook there's some of these groups that's like, are we dating the same person?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can say this because it's one of the rules. What happens if Fight Club said, kind of thing, but it was on the news.
Yeah.
So I know that someone's talking because it's on the news now. But I mean, it's insane. Some of these people that are found out on these websites and all these apps and all this other stuff, that they're on 15 of them, and they have a different photo for everything. And then the real photo comes out, and it's like, wow.
Oh, sure. Now you tell me. Now I got to go, hey, Andy, are you still on any of these sites? Are you?
I mean, it's like beyond catfishing. I mean, I mean, they're like dog catchers. I mean, it's insane. Really, it is. It's like, wow.
But I also liked the fact that the element of it where you could get to know, to some degree, get to know someone before you ever had to interact with them. Whereas if you just meet someone out, like, out to dinner or something like that, you're starting from scratch right then. This way, whether it's through text or whether you're talking on the phone or whatever, before you can decide or separate the wheat from the chaff before you ever have to engage. So
I always thought going out to dinner with somebody was like a great way to decide whether or not, do I really want to go out with them again?
Okay, but the flip side of that is you go out to dinner with them.
And you don't want to
2
be there.
minutes in, you realize this isn't working, and then you're committed for the next 2 or 3 hours.
Oh, no, you're not.
Well, you can't just get up and walk away, can you? Really?
Absolutely. I have to go to the bathroom and you never come
I
back.
would not do that. I just could not do
Couldn't
that.
do it. I'm the type of person that would get caught on
You
the way
get the
out.
phone call. It's the
So what I
emergency.
learned,
that cord.
and I learned this from Andy too, is what you do is first of all you have that initial phone conversation after meeting someone online, and then you Zoom with them.
That was not an option.
Because first of all, you see if they actually look like the person they claimed to look like with their pictures, and then you see if you have that chemistry before even meeting in person.
That's smart.
Yeah,
Did you do that?
I did. He set it up, but I didn't realize that was his thing. Though he said he'd been on too many dates where he was in that situation where I don't want to be with this person, and now I'm committed to staying here.
It's like, that was a nice photo of you 15 years ago.
Exactly. He said that happened a lot. So I was like, oh, that's why you wanted to Zoom with me. You wanted to see if that was really me. But the funny thing is, my profile picture, I didn't want people to know who I was. So I only had one profile picture, and it was like from the chest up, and I wore these big sunglasses. And a lot of men were saying, hey, can we please see more? And I'm like, yeah, no. Nope.
Not yet.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trolls out there. I would be, and some guys are gross.
And I'm sure some men would say some women are gross too.
But I mean, like the stuff that they say.
Oh, yes. I think that's what turns a lot of people off from online dating too, because there's a lot of inappropriate stuff that's going on there. I totally agree. And you just have to delete it, move on.
Yeah, it's one thing when you get these messages and they're mean. It's another thing when they're, yeah, like, really? Did you hear anything that I just said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, all right, sure. Delete, block, delete, block. Okay, well, at least there's that block button. That's good. Yeah.
I'm going to get nervous next time I go out with you and you vanish for more than like 2 minutes. I'm going to start looking around.
Yeah, do you do that with your girlfriends too?
I'll be like, well, that didn't go well.
Kelly, are you
No.
coming back?
No, I had to go. I had emergency.
A friend, I got a call from my husband. There's an emergency at home.
There was some kind of golfing emergency.
Exactly.
No, not for my girlfriend. We don't do that. Of course not. Of course not. I mean, maybe girls' weekend.
Yeah, I mean,
You guys get a little out of hand.
yeah, we do.
I've got to go on that girls' weekend at some point in time.
I am in the middle of getting ready to announce the next one.
but not to the same place. as last
No.
time.
And is it one of those things where whatever happens there stays there?
Yes.
You're committed not to tell all? Look at she's blinking at me like yes, you cannot come on the weekend if you do not.
She's giving you
if
eye
you do not
signals.
sign
This is Morse
a
code.
contract saying that you will not disclose anything that happens.
Yes, that's what you had signed before. That's
Yeah.
what that was.
Okay, all right, I can
No.
do that.
There are a few things that we can talk about because we have a chef that comes in. No, we make him sign stuff, but
Yeah.
I mean,
The
we've had-
only male
yeah.
on premise.
Oh,
He is the only male. Yes.
is he really a chef or is he actually one like a cop that strips or what?
This poor guy, I'm telling you what. He saw things this last time that I don't think he was prepared for, and
Oh.
I should have prepared him.
Oh my gosh,
Did you
But-
have him sign an NDA?
should have.
Not saying that we didn't, but so the first few years we had Jason Capps from Bellicera, and he came, but then he's been doing these tours in Italy, so kind of hard to get him to come. So the last years he gave us a different chef, and he said, "Oh, use him. He's great." Blah blah blah. Although Jason's like, "Give me the dates first, though, because if I can come, I'm coming because we have a good time." So this new chef came the last 2 years. So last year he came, had a good time. We were really comfortable with him. He was a little bit on the shy side, but this last one, he really kind of opened up, was comfortable
up,
with us, had a couple of drinks with us, but there were some things that we did a little different that we hadn't done before, and I don't think he was prepared.
Oh,
But it did go very well because I have seen on social media since some people trying out some of the things that
Oh.
he prepared.
I'm getting your innuendo here. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it was, yes, we had a good time.
Okay, I'm sorry I missed that.
And then we played games afterwards, and he never left.
Yeah,
He stayed for hours.
games.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And we have a good time. It's fun. But it's great because all of these women are from different parts of my life, completely different parts of my life. And by the end of the weekend, everybody who was maybe a little bit trepidatious when they walked in the door, everybody has bonded completely by the time that they leave, and their friend. It's watching everybody just come together afterwards in different areas, and then we do our clothing swaps. So watching everybody wear each other's stuff, and it's just fun. It's great. It's a great time.
Okay, I'm going to make a point of trying to make it next time.
Well, I always,
If I'm invited.
of course, you're invited, but we can only fit
But
so
you
many
gotta
women.
pounce when you have to pounce
Yeah, I have
when
to
she
be
announced.
Johnny on the spot,
So I do give the women, whoever came the last time, I give them the first right of
which
refusal.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but I mean, inevitably, the times don't work for everybody. And then I open it up real quick. And then I kind of say, hey, it's out there. Put down your deposit, and once you do, then you're in. But yeah, it's fun. It's
fun.
Yeah. So we're going to do it at Ogleby this year.
I think you should do a podcast from there.
Oh, good God.
Can you imagine?
No.
There'd be a lot of editing. The editing
We'll
project.
bring Jake along, who does your editing here.
Can't have no boy
Well,
on
you've,
premise.
but
except
you've
for
got
the
a
meal.
chef.
No. I really like Jake. I wouldn't do that to him.
He could potentially be
Jake's
scarred.
over there getting embarrassed.
He could be scarred for life.
Oh, yeah. I mean, really, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I think we've scarred Jason. I
Yeah.
mean, he's gone to Italy.
yeah, I mean, he got citizenship.
He's like, I'm out. I'm leaving the
He
country.
had to leave the country. It was that intense.
And this new chef, he's like, oh, I got to start my own place.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is it's special. It really it's special.
I brought donuts.
We're not going to talk about the donuts.
Kelly has a thing for donuts.
I've heard that, actually.
I didn't actually know it going in. I just knew that I had to pick up donuts for something else, and I was like, I'll just bring a dozen donuts. And she was like, kryptonite. That's like my weak spot. And I was like, here you go.
And she was like, oh, good, I'll bring them. I'm like, I can't have donuts. And she was like, that's okay. You can. I'm like,
Here you go.
Yeah, I don't buy them for that reason too. But chocolate, that's a whole different matter. I always have to have chocolate on hand. Remember you asked me what my weakness was earlier? Yeah. Okay, now I'm changing that. It's chocolate.
Got it.
Chocolate and wine.
Got it.
Those are my weaknesses.
Oh, yeah. So that's like the fourth thing that we've been in. So we have the podcast, we have My Frost, we have Peel, we have Girls Weekend. We've got a lot. So you just were the speaker for Peel.
I was, yes.
Oh my gosh, the feedback.
Oh, really? Okay, you have to share that with
Was
me
it good?
sometime.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Good. So I talked about the 6 lessons I learned from my mother. They're not necessarily the things that she said to me directly, but the things that I picked up from her. And one of them was being your own best friend.
But what I don't think people realized is how funny you are.
Okay, so interesting that you bring that up. So as a news anchor, I had to be very prim and professional at all times. But occasionally I would like to have a little bit of fun. And so people that know me know this story, and Kelly's probably going to know what I'm talking about. But so I anchored by myself a lot when I did the weekend news at WTAE TV. I didn't always have a co-anchor. And so coming out of a cute, fun story, I would oftentimes make a comment. Not an opinion, but just a fun little comment. So one day, my general manager, who happened to be a nice Southern gentleman, came into the newsroom. He took umbrage with the fact, apparently, that I was making these little comments.
Ad-libbing?
That I was ad-libbing, yes. So he came over and tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, Ms. Hyland, may I have a word with you? It's like, okay, sure. What's coming down the pike? What's he going to tell me now? It was never to praise me. It was always to tell me I was doing something
Shocker.
wrong. And he looked at me in the eye and he said, Ms. Hyland, if you're not funny, don't try to be.
Record screech.
And I was really taken aback because I thought I was kind of funny. But yeah, I do have a real sense of humor. It doesn't always come out. It just depends on the situation. But, what's life if you can't laugh?
Yeah.
And she can do a Southern accent.
Yeah, apparently.
Yes. Well, I did live in Oklahoma for a while. So, in fact, I got turned down for a few TV jobs after I'd lived in Oklahoma City and was on the air there. Because you don't realize it, but you pick up that accent. So I was saying y'all all the time. And I moved to Pittsburgh and was saying y'all instead of yins.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've picked up the Pittsburgh ease, so to speak, but I did one time have a conversation with my mother years ago, and I said, okay, Mom, it's been great talking to you, but I'm going out tonight and I have to go iron some clothes. And she said, you have to do what? I said, iron. Not iron. I was like, I could go iron some clothes. Iron some clothes. So maybe I might have picked up on it a little bit.
So I'm actually from Nashville, Tennessee. And so whenever I go visit my family, I will come back and my husband or my son will be like, oh, Lord. and especially, and they'll say, especially like if I've had a glass of wine or I'm angry, because it's almost like that. It's like a vernacular you kind of slip back into.
Yes. It's so easy to pick that up too, because it's kind of almost like a lazy way of talking. It just comes out so naturally.
The last thing you ever want me to say to you is bless your heart.
Yes. Oh, yes.
We know what that means.
We all know that. Yes. Oh, bless your heart.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, under their breath.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And when I was in the corporate world, they brought in an executive coach, and they did a 360, and they're telling me like, hey, I have no poker face, and that I'll be in these big meetings, and if I think you're an idiot, it's going to read, right? And they're like, you're going to have to learn to tone it down because people immediately shut off. And they said, women, when we get frustrated or angry, we start speaking faster and our pitch goes up. And when we do that, men shut down. They just, when they hear us like starting to get that kind of frantic thing going on, they immediately, it's like, I shut down my wife, I shut down my mother, I'm shutting down you. And so they said one of the things you have to do is learn to go low and slow. So for women, you're supposed to like drop it about a half octave and just start speaking more slowly. And I had a coworker one time that that happened in a meeting, and they go, "Damn, she's going low and slow." I was like,
and I agree with that as an executive coach myself. I do agree with that. But isn't it interesting how we have to acquiesce to men?
"Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah."
Shit.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to have to think about that because every once in a while, David will go, why did your voice go all high? Now I'm going to be like,
And
I
fast.
don't know. Why did it?
It's kind of like when you use your child's full name, they know they're in trouble. You know,
Yes.
like you've drawn it. Like when you insert that middle name or use their whole name, you're like, "Oh, damn."
Usually it's David John. That's my husband's name.
Yep.
David John. Well, middle name. Middle name.
Middle name alert.
Yeah. Or when I just say Dave instead of David, he's like, oh, she's pissed at me. Why? He
You're
goes,
giving it away.
Yeah. Well, he knows.
Yeah.
He goes, oh, you Daved me. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? He said that like a year ago. And I said, well, what does that mean? He goes, you only call me Dave when you're pissed. And I was like, huh, all right.
When I'm bothered, it's not so much what I say. Like I'll reach over and just grab Andy's arm.
Hard? Like you draw blood?
A little
Other
bit.
indents.
And he'll look and he'll know that something's up. We really don't argue or fight, but occasionally I'll have to put the arm down and like,
Not to put the arm down.
do you want to, rethink what you're saying here?
Quit
And
while
it works.
Quit while you're ahead.
And it works.
How do you with your hubby?
I just don't. Like, if he doesn't hear from me for a period of time or vice versa, then he knows that something's up. Because we text or we don't call a lot because we're either working or he's on a golf course. And who wants to be
Wait,
interrupted?
what's wrong with that?
Right.
You're working and he's on a golf course.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Or in
Go ahead,
California.
Amy.
Yeah, he's got the best gig in town. Many people will say. But we'll text a lot. But if I don't respond, period, then he knows that eventually I'll get one of those, hey, do you want to share a bottle of wine tonight? And I'm like, the next one I'll be like, no, I don't. As a matter of fact. And my son says he knows whenever I actually use his name because I have so many like pet names for him that if I actually use his name, that he knows that if I just say Dash, he's like, oh, what did I do? And I'm like, I just used your name. He's like, you only do that when I've done something. I'm like, well, that's a shame. I liked your name.
We're giving ourselves
I
away.
know. I was just saying, we're going to come up with all new things now.
I know.
Man. All right.
What about you?
Either that or we're going to have to edit all of this out.
What about you?
What?
How do you two juggle it?
I don't know. That's
Leave
it.
him candy and cards when you like him.
Yeah. I don't, I think I do the silent treatment because I feel like if I say anything, it's going to be
It's
really
not going to be
bad.
good.
I think we're good at that as women too, because we do know we need to watch our P's and Q's when we get upset. And they know too, as soon as we say everything's fine,
he knows that
that
one.
it's definitely not fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm just afraid I'm going to say too much that I won't be able to take it back.
Right.
So I just don't say anything. And then he knows, like, oh, shit, it's one word. It's one word. It's one word. She's giving me one word. She's pissed.
He also knows, like, whatever food he does not like, when that appears for dinner, that he's crossed a line. Like, the man doesn't like salmon at all. And, like, when he comes home, he's like, what's for dinner? I'm like, salmon.
Now that's priceless. That's priceless.
David's allergic to mushrooms. Maybe I should start doing that.
You'd be like,
I made
mushroom
dinner. What'd you
risotto.
make? Mushrooms.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's like, great.
All right, we're going to start trading secrets here. Yeah, that's a good one.
Score a
though.
point with salmon. And, it's healthy.
See, I don't cook much.
Oh.
See, that's what it would be. I'd be like, oh, I made dinner. And then he would be like, oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
There you go.
Yeah, it'd be like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith kind of thing.
Make dinner. War the Roses.
Yes. Where's the dog? Little pate.
Little bunny.
Huh.
This
Interesting.
conversation is going downward.
We're going to have a part 2. We're just going to have to. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're almost out of time here. Yeah. And we didn't even get to some good stuff.
Oh, I think we got to a lot of good stuff. Maybe not what you wanted to talk about, but it was fun.
Yeah,
And it was entertaining, and
Sure.
yeah, it was good.
It's always entertaining with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I always say the one thing you don't want to do with an audience is bore them.
That's true. And you did say that not too long ago.
Leave them wanting more.
Yes. Do you want more? No, they're probably thinking, okay, we've heard enough now. Just stop it. End the conversation.
Well, and with that, we always want to end with a little, and you know this better than anybody, a little frostbite.
Mm-hmm.
All right. In the spirit of frostbite, could you share a moment that was a bite of reality for you, but turned out to be a pivotal point in your career or life?
That's a really good question.
Thank you, Kelly.
So I'm gonna. She does actually come up with really great questions. So I'm going to take it down a notch a little bit. My business partner that I started Foster Hyland with, I was very close with her, Debbie Foster, and she got cancer about 12 years ago. And she was really the backbone of the business. I mean, she had all the experience in media training and crisis communications, which is what we started out doing. So I learned everything from her. But I mean, she put together all our PowerPoints. She brought in the business. I really kind of rode on her coattails. Well, the cancer was bad. It was terminal, and she passed away 11 years ago. And I had that moment of, what do I do now? I don't know that I can run this business without her. Do I go back into TV? Do I start another career? What the hell am I going to do with my life? But I thought, okay, what would Debbie have wanted me to do, and what did she think I was capable of? I was capable of a lot more than I gave myself credit for. I realized that I could learn what she had done. I could learn the PowerPoints. I even went to CCAC and learned a course on PowerPoints because, remember, I wasn't raised on computers. Right. I didn't know how to do any of this stuff. And I went out there and hit the pavement and started bringing in business. I did it all on my own with really the help from her at the very beginning, kind of teaching me. But that was really a pivotal moment for me as to, where am I really going? I had relied so much on her and used her as a crutch, not believing that I myself had the power to continue on and run the business as it had been. And since then, we added presentation training, and then now most of what I do is actually executive coaching. So I not only just went on with what we had done, but I grew, I learned, I continue still to take seminars. I'm getting certification in executive coaching. So yeah, that was really a pivotal moment in my life that taught me a lot about what I was capable of. What was the question again?
Oh, I love that.
So, yeah.
You've done so much. I mean, she would be so proud.
That's because I'm old.
I mean, with the business. Stop that. Don't put yourself down.
See, I do have a sense of humor.
And you are funny. Yes, but no, you have done just incredible work. She would
Thank
be.
you.
She would be very proud.
She would. Yeah. She would. She was an incredible woman and mentor, and she was the VP of Communications for Heinz, had done all their global media training and crisis communications. I mean, she was phenomenal. I learned so much from her. Mm-hmm. And so I encourage every woman, young or old, to have some sort of a mentor in their life. Because up until her, I really never did. Mm-hmm. And it's so important. And I believe in cross-generational mentoring as well, too. Mm-hmm. For instance, not knowing the PowerPoints. I could have used a young mentor to help me learn about computers and putting that together and so forth, just as much as I could have taught her.
Mm. Well, thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate it. And we're going to have to definitely do a part 2 with you.
All right.
For sure.
Thank you for having me,
I
Kelly.
just keep having you back.
Well, you're incredible. And it means a lot to me that you would have me here too. And Amy, it was so good to meet you
nice to meet
finally.
You. And who knew? We have mutual friends.
I
and
know.
Yes.
Yes, we have a lot more in common than would meet the eye.
I see a lot of wine happening.
Yes.
I thought there was some outside waiting.
Yes, once the microphones are turned off, let the stories begin.
Amen. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate it. And stay tuned for the next episode.